Okay, so in today's video, we are going to start a new game, and that game is the Dino Game. So if you use the Chrome browser, you will know, or if you've experienced no internet at some points, there is this game that comes up on the screen when you're in the browser that it's like a dinosaur that you use or you control, and you jump over, I think it's like cactus or something, while the screen is like moving from I think it was from the right to the left. Actually, let me just bring up an example of it quick. So we are going to be making that game, Dino Chrome Game. So this is the game that we are going to be making. So the objective is to control the dinosaur. All you have to do is press, well, we're probably going to either make it by pressing space or the mouse button. And when you do that, all the dinosaur does is it jumps up. And then the objective of the game is to jump over the cactus or the plants or whatever comes along the route, and then to see the high score that you get, or try and build up a high score. So we're going to be doing that in today's episode and probably the next few episodes. So when I planned this game, I did plan on making it a full, like completing the entire game in one episode, but I think that's just going to make the episodes longer. I mean, the episode with probably just shy of 2 hours long. Nobody really wants to do that. So we will split it down. It'll probably be like another 4, maybe 3 episodes. Hopefully not too long. But we'll get started by working on the dinosaur today. So I have created the assets that we will use. So let's go and import that stuff. I will put a link in the description. I'll try to a file that you can download these assets from. So where is it? No, here's art, games, nope, sprites. Okay, so here's the Google game. So we are going to bring this into our project here. So in this folder we have cactus. So I mean, it's just a cactus. You can't really see it properly. But it's quite small. Then we have 2 different types of cactus. One has the cactus itself, and the other one has like a bit on the floor, like underneath it. It's not like a shadow, but it's like dirt that's surrounding it. You'll see it when we make the game. And then the other folder has our actual dinosaur. These are fairly similar. The only difference is the movement of the legs. So when we play the game, we want the dinosaur to look like it's actually running. So I've made 4 different sprites where the legs look like they're moving up and down, so that the dinosaur will look like it's running when we create the animation, as well as on the second one it doesn't have an eye, so it will also look like the dinosaur is blinking, because on the other 3 it does have an eye. I don't know why I only did it to 1. I probably should have done it to the second and the 4th one. But actually that'll be fine, because then it will look like the dinosaur is blinking, but not as often as it would if it was on both the second and the 4th one. Okay, so that's the images. We do have to make more art. We do have to make the floor, or at least I have to make the floor. I'll do that and probably bring it into the next episode. And then I think we also have to make like buttons to restart the game, and then I might just add in a few different objects or characters, like maybe flying birds that you have to avoid, as well as maybe like a different type of tree, or like maybe like a group of trees. I don't know, something different. But let's get started. So today we are going to, first of all, let's set this up. So we want to be able to see our game. That's not where I wanted it. I want that there. So we want a game. Our game is going to be in here. I'm going to change the aspect to a full HD so we can see it like that. And then here's our scene. Okay, cool. So let's go change the background of color to like a grayish color. White. It's not perfect white. It's got a little bit of gray in it. Okay, so let's bring in our dinosaur. So we want to create a new 2D object. Let's just make it a circle for now. Then we can go and replace it by our dinosaur. Let's type in dino, and then it's going to be the first one. Okay, so that's very, very small, but that's what our dinosaur looks like. I wonder if we can go and resize it. So let's scale it up by 5 maybe. I'm just going to put this over here so we can see it. I might just have to make the art a little bit bigger, because it looks very blurry. I don't really like that. So that's all. I'll do that in the next episode, but we can go ahead and start it now, and we can just replace them. So while we're working on our player, let's go and create our animation for our dinosaur and see if it actually works. Because I made the assets, but I haven't actually checked to see if the animation works. So let's go and do that. So all we have to do is create a new animation. This is going to be in a new folder. We will call it where's our folder? This is going to be Dinosaur Game, and then in our let's just make a new one here called, I think we're only going to have one animation, and this is going to be run. So we won't bother about making like run animation. Save that. You need to save the file inside of the project's asset folder. Okay, that's annoying. So let's go back, and then in here we'll put that in there. I don't know if you can do that. Okay, so you can't, so we'll make another folder in here, and then call this one run. Need to save the assets folder. You need to save the file inside of the project's assets folder. That's exactly what I did. Let's create another animation. You know what? We're just going to create it in here. Let's just call it run. We can always change later. Okay, so we'll have our run animation in here. Or maybe I was in the wrong project. But anyway, so let's go and drag these in. So we're going to need our first and second and our third and our fourth one. So we'll drag these into here. Well, clearly you can't do that. Oh, maybe I have to select it. Okay, let's try that. That one, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that should play our animation. Looks like it's jumping. Also, I need to get rid of that over there. But if we speed that up, it should look like our dinosaur is running. Okay, that's a bit too fast. Let's go and make it. Also, that animation is terrible. I'm gonna have to change that. But it's fine for now. We'll leave it like that for now. And then let's try and get our jumping of our dinosaur to work. So on our dinosaur, let's go and add a new script. And this is going to be our dinosaur. Okay, so let's create that. And then let's see. If we play this, what happens? We should get our animation just playing. Because it's not too bad. Maybe it's because our dinosaur is way too big. So let's scale it back down to half of what it is and see the animation. Alright, it's not too bad. It might look better when the game actually has some movement to it. So like when we add in the background and the ground and the trees and all of that. So let's go and do that. So in our dinosaur, we need to do a few things. First of all, we need to get our jump working, but then we also need to get our check to see if our dinosaur is on the ground, because we don't want the player to allow the dinosaur to carry on jumping. So we will, if we go to our scene view, we can add in a ground, so we can get rid of this. I'm just going to pull this down here. So in here, let's go and add in a another sprite. It's going to be a square, because then we can scale this to fit the entire length of the width of the screen, and then move it down, put it in the middle. Okay, so here's our ground. So now let's go and add a collider onto that. So we need a, where is it? Square. What am I typing? Collider, box collider 2D. So on here, this is going to be our collider. We're going to make it a little bit shorter, or we're not going to fit the entire height of the ground, because we want our dinosaur to look like it's standing on the ground, but we also want that to have a bit of background at the back of the dinosaur, so that it doesn't look like, why can't I move? Oh, because I'm in a game scene. So it doesn't look like the dinosaur is right on top of the ground like that. It needs to be kind of offset a bit. So let's just make, okay, it should be fine. When we go and add some gravity onto our dinosaur, which we'll do right now, let's go add a rigid body onto it. We have gravity, which is 1. Okay, that's fine. Let's go and play the game and see what it looks like. Okay, so we need to add a collider onto our dinosaur. So where's that? We need to have a collider, and this is going to be a polygon collider. And then let's just go and edit it a bit so that it doesn't look as bad as it looks. So, I mean, you could, it doesn't have to be this accurate, but a simple like circle collider or something will probably work fine, but let's just do this. All right, so that should be fine, just like that. All right. Cool, so that should be fine. So that should handle our collider shaft. So our dinosaur should stick onto our platform, which it does, but it's kind of behind the ground, which is not what we want. So let's go and change the order. We want our order of our dinosaur to always be in front of everything. So on our sprites, let's go and set that to 1. And then we can, on our layers, we can add a layer onto it. So sorting layers, this is going to be player. Oh, actually, let's call it dinosaur, just so that it, what am I doing? Get rid of that. This needs to be in here. So sorting layers, dinosaur, and then let's have a ground. I can't even spell. That's going to be a ground. So I can't remember which one needs to be on top of each other, but we'll check now. So a dinosaur, let's go and add our sorting layer needs to be dinosaur, and then this will rename to ground, and then this also has to have a ground sorting layer. Okay, so we need to swap them, I believe, because we always want our dinosaur to be in front. Okay, cool, so that's fine, we'll save that. So now let's just play this and make sure that it is actually in front. Okay, yeah, that's fine. That looks, I mean, it doesn't look the best, but it's all right. I am just going to change the background of our game to slightly darker so that we can see our dinosaur like that. And then I am actually going to copy this color and put that onto our ground. But I'm going to make it a little bit darker like that. We will change it later on once I, probably in the next episode, once I import the ground asset that I'm going to create, hopefully. But for now, we'll leave it like that. Okay, so that allows our dinosaur to like sit on top of the ground, but not right on top, so which looks good. I just need to fix that animation because that looks terrible. That's not bad for the first one. Okay, so let's go and try and get the jumping of the dinosaur to work. So let's Google something first. Actually, we don't need to Google it, I don't think. So in our dinosaur, we are going to want to have a few integers, I think. No, floats rather. So we want to have, we need a jump force because our dinosaur is not going to be moving from side to side. The only movement it's going to be doing is jumping up and down in the exact same spot. So we can just go and position our dinosaur. Where is it? Somewhere over here. Probably like that, maybe a little bit more like that maybe. So our dinosaur will always stay there, and the only thing that it's going to do is going to jump up and down. Well, it's going to jump up and it's going to fall back down using the gravity. And then once it's on the floor again, it will allow you to jump up again. And then all you have to do is wait for the cactus to come from the right-hand side of the screen along the floor or the ground. And as soon as it gets to you, you have to make the judgment of when to jump over it. Otherwise, you die. Okay, so back to our script. So here we need a jump force. So let's make it a private float. Jump force. We'll set this to 10 for now. We can always adjust it later if it's too much or too little. Okay, so what else do we need? We need to make our player jump, or our dinosaur jump. So let's go and do that. So let's go get rid of our start method because we don't really need that for now. So in our update method here, we can go and say jump. No, not jump force, just jump. Oh, come on, let's just make the method quick. So this is going to be private void jump, like that. So that will allow our dinosaur to jump. We could probably just put all of the code in our update method, but we don't want to do that. So let's just go and say jump. So whenever this method is going to be called every frame, but we'll put a check in our jump method here to only allow the code to be executed once you've pressed either the spacebar or a key on your mouse. So let's go and just do that. So we're going to need an if statement and say if what is it? If key code, I believe, key code dot, or no, it's not that. It's if input, because we need to look for input, which is going to come from either our mouse button or our space bar. So if input dot get I think we'll make it our mouse button. Get mouse button. Then we'll use the left one, I think it is, whichever 0 is. We might change it later. So if we go and press our mouse button, then we can go and add some force to, or allow our dinosaur to jump. So let's go do that. All we have to say is first of all, did we add a rigid body onto it? Yes, we did. So we can go and get that. So let's get a reference to that. So this is going to be serialized field, rigid body 2D, rigid body. So here we can go and say rigid body dot velocity. There is a lot of different ways to add the force to it or the jump to it. You could also add a character controller and not use a rigid body, but in this tutorial we will be using a rigid body. So rigid body dot velocity is going to be equal to a new, so we need to create a new velocity in the upward direction. So vector2, and this is going to be rigid body dot, what am I doing? Vector2, this is going to be rigid body, what axis is going to be? Rigid body dot x. No, what is it? It's going to be velocity dot x. And then the jump force on the y, which is, what do we name it? Jump force. Let's go and give that a test and see what that does. So first thing we have to do is go and assign our rigid body. So we'll drag that into there, and then let's give it a play and see what happens. Okay, so we can jump, but you can see that we can jump multiple times, and we need to restrict that. So let's go and restrict our movement. So on our rigid body, we can, where is it? Constraints. Nope, where is it? It is, oh, there it is, constraints. So we want to freeze the rotation because we don't want it to rotate. And obviously we don't want to freeze the position because we want our player to be allowed to jump. So if we jump and we land back down, we shouldn't get, the dinosaur shouldn't rotate, which is fine. It should always stay upright. Okay, now we need to go and fix our jump because we can still jump while we're in the air, which is not what we want. So let's go fix that. So we need to add another check. So instead of just saying if we click our mouse button, we have to go and say if we click our mouse button and the dinosaur is currently grounded, then we can go and allow the dinosaur to jump. So let's do that. And is grounded. So this is a boolean that we're going to create. So this is going to be private bool is grounded, and we'll set it to true at the start because our dinosaur will be grounded. So when we go and, well, actually we can just go and set this before we, well, every time we go and click on our mouse button, we can go and set that is grounded variable by simply saying is grounded. So what, if you remember the, I think it was a 2D platformer that we made, the very first one, of one of the very first series that we did on this channel, we did something very similar to this. In fact, it probably is the exact same line of code that we're going to use. But we can go and say is grounded is going to be equal to physics 2D dot overlap circle, and then we'll add a ground check object to our dinosaur as well as the layer that it needs to overlap, in other words. So this is going to be our, let's go and create that. So this needs to be another serialized field, and then I think it's going to be a game object. If not, we can change it later. So we can go and say ground check object. And then we also need the layer mask. So serialized field, this is going to be a layer mask, because this is going to tell us which layer our ground check object needs to collide with in order to make our is grounded equal to true, and it's going to be our ground layer. So the ground layer mask that we, not layer mask, but the ground layer sorting layer that we just created to make the dinosaur look like it's in front of the ground. So layer mask, this is going to be ground layer. So in here, where is it? In here, we can go and say, what am I doing? This is going to be ground check object. Ground check object dot transform dot position, and then we need to give it the how big do we want to make it. It needs to be quite small so that our dinosaur looks like it's still standing on it. So let's go and give it a very small, so this is going to be radius. let's say ground check radius, and we'll set that to 0.2 or something like that. Could always make it smaller later. So this needs to be ground check radius, and then we also need to pass in our layer mask, which is going to be our ground layer. Okay, so that should allow us to check if we are on the ground or not. So the only thing we have to do now is to add a ground check object to our dinosaur. So let's go and create an empty object, and this will be our ground check object. Okay, so I'm just going to add a pill thing to it so we can see where it is. So this is where we want it to be, right at the bottom where our dinosaur's feet are. And then we can go and select none because now we know where it is. So that should be fine. Okay, actually I'm just going to move this right down, something like that. Okay, so on our dinosaur, I'm just going to rename this to dinosaur because it's kind of it looks weird when it's just dino. So dinosaur, we need to drag in that ground checked object in there, and then we need to select our ground layer, but we need to go and create that. So we also have to add a layer onto this called ground. So on our ground, let's go and add that, and then on our dinosaur we can tell anything that has the layer of ground on it, when it collides with it, it means that it's touched the ground. So let's try that and see if it works. So game view, we should now only be allowed to jump when our dinosaur is on the floor. So you can see we jump once, and then I'm currently pressing multiple times. I don't know if you can hear that, but it doesn't work unless the dinosaur is on the ground. So that's good. That only allows our dinosaur to jump when it's grounded, which is how we want it to be. So that's pretty much it for today's episode. In tomorrow's episode, we'll start working on the floor. I'll try and make the artwork right now. And then in the next episode, we will get the floor working. So we'll spawn it in on the one side and let it move all the way to the other side of the screen. And then once it's moved, we'll go and delete it and then spawn it again and keep on doing this over and over again so that it looks like the floor is endless. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today. So thanks for watching. If you're enjoying this video in this game series, it's a new one, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. And I will see you in tomorrow's episode. So goodbye, and thanks for watching.